to the sports any way that he can. It's Mike Francesa on the Fan. Sports Radio 66 and 101.9 FM, WFAN.
From the studios of WFAN, this is Mike Zahn, Francesa on the Fan, on this Thanksgiving Eve, this Wednesday, the 21st day of November, as we get ready to start this big football and Thanksgiving holiday. And I thought, what can I give the audience on this Thanksgiving Wednesday show, which is always a big show because there's no Friday show this week. And I said, you know what? How about we give him Aaron Boone? I said, yeah, you know what? I'd like to talk to him. So we dialed him up and saw if we could get him. And nice enough to join us for a minute. So the Yankee manager joins us now. Aaron, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Mike?
Good, thank you. First, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and thank you for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, you bet. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, Paxton trade, your thoughts?
Really excited to get a guy of his caliber, and we kind of feel like even though he's 30 years old, we feel like there's, in a lot of ways he's kind of just scratching the surface. I mean, this is a guy that we feel like there's potentially even more in there. We feel like the ceiling's really high when he's been healthy. Obviously, he's been a really dynamic pitcher. And, we feel like hopefully we're getting a guy with not a lot of mileage on him, but and that still has some room to grow and continue to get better. And we feel like has a chance to really, really impact us in a big way.
Do you think you have to shape somebody to handle the competition and the edge and everything that comes with pitching on the Yankees and in this division and the stuff that has to happen here? Do you think you have to treat guys differently here, especially pitchers, getting them ready for that?
Well, I think that's part of sports and part of the job of coaches and even, fellow players is, how do you tap into guys? How do you tap in and trying to get the most out of each guy? And every now and then you have the cases where it seems like, maybe a guy's just naturally cut out for a situation or frankly isn't. And those things, you got to kind of just go through. I feel like a ton more that fall somewhere in that middle range. And I think, we're all responsible for trying to tap in and get them the most comfortable and in the environment and get the most out of their talent in the environment.
You had a tremendous first year as a manager. You won 100 games. The Red Sox win a World Series. So the question that you all have in your organization, from you to the general manager who was joined with us yesterday, how do you take a team from good to great? That's really it, the little bit you have to push a team to go that extra mile. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, and that's what we sign up for here. We're chasing a championship, and that's one of the great things about getting to be a part of this organization is that's always the expectation. And I know Cash is working tirelessly to make tweaks and to improve our roster as much as possible where we can to try and close the gap with some of the other teams or certainly Boston, who's now won several divisions in a row now in the East. And, and we're constantly, even here in the winter, just trying to work and trying to find where we can find ways to improve ourselves going forward. But, we know we're in a really strong position as far as having a team that's certainly capable or certainly going to be in the mix. One of those teams that can feels like you have a real chance at a championship, and now it's upon all of us to go out there and try and get over the hump.
Talking with Yankee manager Aaron Boone on this Wednesday to open the show. Little present for you guys for this Thanksgiving holiday. One thing I really noticed down the stretch was how much you guys missed Judge. I was surprised, and how big he was in the postseason, but it shows just how much he's grown into the player and how important a player he is, that you guys really did miss him a lot.
There's no question. I've told people all the time, I knew coming into this job, just knowing him a little bit topically, I knew, obviously he was a great player and this great reputation of being, this quality person and that nice, the way he treats people. And you see all that from the outside, and he is all those things, but he's so important to the room and just for being really a young player, the impact he has on other people, from a leadership standpoint. He just has a way of kind of bringing out the best in others, just with the way he is day in and day out, the way he goes about things. And it was really stood out to me the game he came back. We were a different team in the first inning. He walks up there, he smokes the ball to right field. I don't think he got any hits the first game, but there was just a different feel, frankly, on the bench with just him being in the lineup, being part of the game, being part of the banter that goes on in the dugout. He's a special talent, but an even more special person. And you're right. He's critical in so many ways to our club.
It's funny. I said to Cash, I said, one thing you guys get to do, and it's what you get paid for, is to decide whether what you see is real. Like with Voit, is he a one-hit wonder, or is he a guy who's going to do that year after year? He had a great, like what Pierce did for the Red Sox, Voit did for you guys. He lifted the team. He had almost 1,000 or right around 1,000 OPS for you guys. Is that real, or was it a one-hit wonder?
You're right. We are taxed with that, and I'm betting on the fact that it's real. I think. It's one thing to come up and run into some homers and get hot when you're strong and the league's trying to figure it out and those things. But I think when you see the at-bat quality that we saw really on a consistent basis, whether he would strike out, whether he would, work a walk, whether he would really get into a ball, the at-bat quality really from the time he got to us through the end of the year was really strong. And I go back to, our front office and a lot of our analysts kind of digging him up and finding him and identifying him as someone they really felt like was undervalued, that really was capable of something like this. And he came and absolutely delivered. So he's created a real opportunity, obviously, for himself, and he'll go into the year with a chance to prove that it was real.
How about facing the year, or at least a good part of it, without Didi?
A huge blow. I mean, a lot of the things I said about Aaron Judge from an intangible standpoint, Didi brings that as well. Obviously, an excellent player at a premium position, shortstop, great two-way player. But there's just something, the way he goes about his business, the toughness, the manner in which he plays, the kind of quiet leader that he is kind of on the field, especially with some of our young guys out there. It's a blow, and one we've got to find a way to absorb, and hopefully, Didi continues to progress well, and the injury progresses well, and the rehab goes well to where, he's back in the fold sooner rather than later. But there's no doubt it's a big blow to us. And
we're talking with Aaron Boone. I got the idea that from Cash, especially, that you guys consider Torres a better second baseman for his future than a shortstop. I didn't know where it sat, but it sounds like that's the case.
I think he's capable at both. Shortstop's his natural position. And I think he showed, and second base was in a lot of ways very new to him last year. So I thought he did a lot of great things out there and showed how special he could be at the position, while also showing some of the newness about it and some of the mistakes that come with that. But right. I think one thing we saw and was cemented in our mind is what a special kind of two-way player he can be. Whether he ends up at short, second, I think long-term he's capable of both of those because of his talent.
What would you tell Bird after this kind of what do you tell Bird now? I mean, he's still in the mix, I guess. People have to be disappointed. He's got to be disappointed. What do you say to a Bird now?
Get after it. There's inevitably going to be opportunities. No one in the organization, even though it was obviously a difficult year for him, I would say no one in the organization, though, has soured on or forgotten the fact that this guy is capable of being a difference maker. And we all still believe that. He's got to dig it out now and find it. We've got to try and help him. And inevitably, opportunity will knock for him. And if he can kind of find that swing, find that groove, find his consistent health, then if he can take advantage of those opportunities, he can play himself back in more so into the mix than he certainly was at the end of the year.
You know, the funny thing is, it's such an interesting thing that you guys chase because you know you can win games over the long haul, but trying to be right in October. Look at the Red Sox. Look at what Jackie Bradley gave them in the bottom of the lineup. Look at what the big hits from Nunez, the big hits from the catcher, what Pierce gave them. So it's very hard to calculate where you're going to get it from. It comes from anywhere. You know, you don't know where it comes from in those postseason games.
It does, and I think that goes partly into why you really put a premium on winning the division. So first and foremost, you're not having to play a one and done game, but then there is a little bit probably of an advantage, obviously creating a little bit of a home field edge. But yeah, look. The playoffs, a lot of times it's obviously the team that's hot, especially when you're talking about facing an opponent that's on equal footing with you or you view as very equal to what you're doing. So the more guys that you can have in the mix playing well, playing with confidence, the better chance you get to have some impact from different spots, maybe even unexpected places.
What was the best part of last year for you? You had a great rookie season. You won 100 games. What was the best part of last year for you?
The competition, not every night, like the game, when 7 o'clock hit and we threw that first pitch and you're in the dugout with a lot of guys that, I gained so much respect for over the year and just the way they went about their business. That's the best part, is being back in the fold, back in the competition. I loved every second of that.
And what did you learn from last year that you didn't know after all those years as a player, all those years in the booth? What was the one thing that you learned? I mean, you grew up around managers. You grew up in the family. I mean, the whole thing, it's been your life. Anything that was new to you last year or not really?
I would say it was all very new. I don't think in looking back anything, necessarily overwhelmed me as far as like, oh, wow, that was just – but it's all new, and you never really know exactly what to expect. And I was, in a little way, you're surprised at the volume of things that come across your desk on a daily basis. Sometimes great things, sometimes minor little fires, sometimes bigger situations that you constantly have to deal with and manage, and that's obviously a big part of the job.
Well, listen, thank you for a couple of minutes. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll chat again as the hot stove gets a little warmer, but thank you very much. Appreciate it. And again, I appreciate a couple of minutes that you didn't have to do this, so thank you.
You bet. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, Aaron. Aaron Boone, the Yankee manager, back after this.